ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Scrap Mechanic. I'm, of course, the ConflictNerd, and today we are going to be building the Batmobile, the Tumbler from the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. But first, you might recognize this. This is another concept, and if you've been watching these Scrap Mechanic videos, you'll be aware that I quite enjoy showing you some concept stuff that I'm working on. And this is another one, and if you can't tell what this is, you've been living under a rock, because the third biggest movie of all time, Star Wars The Force Awakens, came out a little while ago, and I decided I would try and build an X-Wing, because X-Wings are cool, and this actually, you know, those open up, they open up, they're kind of cool. They serve no function, but yeah, it's an X-Wing, and I'm kind of happy with it. It doesn't fly, I will say. I have yet to discover how to make something like this fly in Scrap Mechanic, but that's alright. You know, these things happen. It does this. It sort of slides along. I can bring these out and then turn those on. It sort of moves. And it tries to fly. Oh, hold on. Hold on a minute. I reckon if I got more thrusters on it, oh my god, it's flying. That was flying for a second there. Yeah, it tries. It's not very successful, though. But, you know, a little bit more testing, a bit more refining, and I reckon I might have an almost working X-Wing. I also need to bring the nose in a little bit, because it's just a little bit long there and looks a little bit silly. Or make the wings a bit bigger. I might actually just make the wings a little bit bigger, because it is the proportions are kind of off, but it's getting there. And, I'm proud of this. Anyway, this isn't the focus of today's video, so we should, you know, probably get to that. So today I would like to build, not an exact replica by any means, but I would like to build the Tumbler from the Dark Knight movies. And much like any good creative show, be it, you know, doing art, be it building something, be it whatever, here's what I built earlier. And I've always wanted to say that in a video, I'm going to be honest. But I built this actually a couple of days ago from when I'm recording. But I built this and I'm quite happy with it. It doesn't really look like the Batmobile because of some of the materials I used. And obviously it's not going to be all that accurate. But I am really happy with it. I am, honestly. What we'll do is we'll jump in and we'll show you some of the features. So the wheels, there should only be 2 at the back. But I went with 3 because the proportions didn't look right with only 2. But it's so cool. I'm so happy with this. So, you'll notice the suspension there at the front is completely compressed when this thing is stationary. That's okay, because when you get moving, it actually opens up again, and it's completely fine. Also, the steering is something I worked for a while. Okay. Yeah, let's not crash into a tree, Batman. Let's not do that, and let's also not get stuck in the terrain. But yes, the suspension and the turning and all that stuff is something I worked on for quite a while to make sure it looked accurate, and I think it does. I'm actually super proud of how this turned out, and don't worry, we are going to end up building one of these in today's episode, but I want to show you what we're building properly, because this thing is just really cool. I'm really happy with it. We also, of course, have a thruster at the back there so we can launch into a rampless jump, which isn't a thing you can do in Scrap Mechanic, but it is if you're actually Batman. It can also drift a little bit, which is kind of cool. And, of course, there's 2 buttons down there in the hotbar. And we're also slightly stuck. Let's see if we can just free it up there. There we go. There are 2 buttons there. You might be wondering what the other one does. That is, of course, how you get out, which is like so. And this thing looks cool even when that's open. That also takes weight off the front suspension, but I'm very happy with how it opens up like that. And then you can just close it like that. And you have your Batmobile. And I'm super, super happy with how this looks. It just looks really interesting, and we're going to build another one. So, let's begin. What we're going to do is use these barrier blocks. I actually use tile blocks as my base, but I'm going to use barrier blocks as the base for this one so it's lighter, so that it is hopefully a little bit faster. So what we'll do is we'll just give it a nice, sturdy base like so. And honestly, this is all we really need for the base of this vehicle. What we're going to do is just add on the wheels like so onto these back bits so that the thruster sort of sticks out from between them. Like that is actually kind of perfect as it is. That's a little bit more space between them than I would have liked. I'm trying to work out what way I actually did it. I mean, that sticks out too far, that thruster there. That's too much. So there's not really any reasonable... I mean, I guess there's if I raise the thruster up a little bit, I could bring the wheels in. But I don't know. I think that, honestly, that kind of looks okay in my book. I think that's probably okay. We will, of course, add the third wheel onto either side here just to give it a nice sort of thick look there, which is what we want, because this is going to be built up quite well. These wheels are not thick enough to only have two. If these were a little, you know, if those are about another, say, half wheel thicker, they'd be perfect. So we're going to go with 3 there. And then the driver's compartment is going to be sort of there, I guess, is about where I want it. Now let's make the base a bit wider. We'll go another 2 out on either side, like so. So that gives it some good space there. And then I want to figure out what way I did these, because these are quite tricky, these particular bits. I see what I did there. Okay, so I guess what we do is we come up off of the base with these we want to get some of the pillars, don't we? So I want to go with these little sort of pipe things. And then what we do is we have that, and we have that facing down, and then we want to put some off-road suspension on there, because I think that'll be quite beneficial. In fact, I want to take that a little bit higher, just so that there is, just so it has the, you know, the right height on the front wheels there, which is what we want. So we'll just chuck that on there. And that should be a little better for the vehicle than the suspension on the original one, to be honest. That'll hopefully work better and hopefully not crumple in when the vehicle puts its weight on the front end. So, what we'll do is, I guess, I mean, I want to have a little look at how I connected these, because, I mean, I guess these bits don't turn. That is just suspension, so that's actually okay. What we'll do is we'll just raise this up again. And I'll go ahead and put in more of the... In fact, what I won't do that. I'll go ahead and use these posts here as the sort of extended front end, I guess. And I'll just attach some bearings to these for a moment. This is just to test it. This is just to make sure that the weight thus far is okay and that the balance thus far is okay. So that's actually perfect. That is fairly spot on. That is exactly what I want. Of course, the wheels are not spot on. All those are on the wrong side currently, but that is some good balance there. In fact, I want to just pull the wheels off completely and see what happens. Yeah, that is that suspension thus far is completely supporting the rest of the vehicle, which is exactly what we want it to do. So, I guess what we want to do is raise this back up and fill out some of the armor and work out our turning system, which is a little bit tricky, to say the least. So let me demonstrate the turning system that I created for this. I think it was this. Let's see where the joint is. Yeah, the joint is there. So the joint actually goes there for all of this. So you do that, you bring the wheels forward a little bit, then you have this angled down, and you raise the vehicle up, and then you want to have these angled in, like so. You put your bearing on there, and you should just be able to stick your 2 small wheels together like that. And that is your turning and drive system. Well, not your drive system, but that allows them to rotate. And the reason you do that, the reason you have all this space, is because on the Tumbler in the movie, there is a section that comes forward like this. And originally, I was going to have these wheels further back, because, again, in the movie, they are. But unfortunately, that's not an option, because they hit this and it doesn't turn properly. So you do want to avoid that at all costs, essentially. So what we'll do is we're actually going to give this a quick test drive, which is super exciting at this point, because we're going to see if it actually works. So what we'll do is we'll connect the engines to each wheel. We'll give the engines 4 little lines of power there. We'll connect the engines to the drive. We'll connect the steering to the drive as well, like so. And it needs to be off the lift before it's going to go anywhere. There we go. Thus far, so good. It is turning the wrong way. So these need to be turning that way. I don't know if the engines are... Well, the engines are strong enough. It does turn the correct way. That steering looks fine. This actually looks a little bit bigger than the other one, which could be interesting. So we'll give this a little bit more strength there. We'll take it 2 from the... Well, I guess 3 from the top. We'll go to there. And, yeah, it moves. It moves pretty well. That suspension's holding up nicely as well, which is perfect. Pretty quick, which is great. We didn't actually... I realized I haven't put a switch for the thruster just yet, which is something I absolutely want to do. So I guess that can go here, because we'll probably have a control block here and then another switch there. So we'll chuck a switch there as well while we're at it. Connect that to there. And connect that to there. So that's button 1 with the thruster working beautifully. And the whole thing moves, which is super great. The suspension's actually holding up really nicely there. The whole thing's doing pretty well. Very big vehicle, but that is completely okay. As for going up hills, it is going to have problems going up hills, I will say that, because it's completely flat on the underside and it's likely going to hit things, but it should be okay. I would lower the... Oh wow, that is going to have some serious problems. I would lower it or bring those wheels back a little bit if I didn't think it would sort of ruin the look. And I'm going aesthetically speaking here. I'm not building this for functionality as much as I'm building it to look good. So we're gonna have to deal with that. What I will do though is sort of fill out this space in between the front wheels, because I want to sort of start shaping the base to bring this to a bit of a finish. So we'll do this kind of thing and bring it forward a little bit. Then we'll do this kind of thing and bring it forward. And that is actually about where it's going to go to. So I guess we're at a point where we can start putting stuff on the sides of this and start building it up. I'm not going to use these blocks, these pillars, posts, whatever you want to call them. I'm not going to use these across the entire vehicle. That is one thing I will avoid doing. I did that on the original one over there, and I don't think it looks all that good. It's useful. It's a nice sturdy block. It's pretty heavy. But I like the idea of me using that just as what I've done there, sort of a way to line the base of it. So I guess what we do now is we start building this up out of metal and see how that goes. Although metal is actually lighter than the concrete block, and the concrete block might be one that's worth using. Or sorry, metal is heavier than the concrete block. So that's what the concrete block's going to look like, and that's what the metal block's going to look like. I mean, obviously, oh man, metal really is what I want to go for, but I feel like for the sake of weight, we probably want to go concrete. No, I'll use metal. If it becomes too much, then I will maybe change it. We'll see. So what I did to create the canopy on the version that we have over there is I actually simply built a pillar straight up like this. Well, I tell a lie, I didn't build a pillar at all. I actually used these posts again, which I said I was going to stop using, so, you know, I'm a filthy liar. But I used these to create a sort of vertical space that I could use as reference for just how high I needed the roof to be. And in all honesty, it does need to be one higher than I've got it there, and I will use concrete for this just so that it's, you know, just so it sort of works, so it's not too heavy, it's not too top heavy. So that should be okay if I sort of mount a roof to that. That should be okay. So what I'll do is I will use... Oh, I really don't know if I want to use these. I'll use these because they're decent pivots. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to use the metal block like this to sort of come forward a little bit. Now this is a little bit tricky to do because I don't actually have a picture of the Tumbler up on any of my screens at the moment. So I'm kind of doing this off of memory, and I'm kind of doing this off of what I think looks cool. So you will have to forgive me if this looks incredibly inaccurate, because it's probably going to. Again, the point isn't necessarily that I completely recreate the vehicle as much as I make something that kind of looks interesting and, you know, is obviously inspired by the vehicle I'm referencing. So this is absolutely not what I want to be making. This is horrible thus far. Because the point, like, if we look at the top of this one, it looks so much lower profile because the character's head sort of clips it. But the thing is as well, it all folds back. Like, it doesn't just move in one thing. There's a couple of different things going on there. So what I've done with these blocks is completely wrong. That needs to go. So that is going to go. So I've actually decided on pivoting the whole thing down here, and I think that could be kind of interesting. So what we'll do is we'll come to the control block over here, and the first thing this will do is go positive 30 when I set it to move. So if I take it off of the lift there and I hit 2, it'll go back like that, which is good. So that's what we want. Then 3 and 4, I want to go negative 30. So it moves back and then it goes, so that bit goes positive 30, that bit goes negative 30, which will bring it flat, correct? Yeah. And then those bits need to go like positive, I'm going to say positive 120 is possibly a good number for those. So those are going to fold right back like that. So if I get in and press that, the whole thing sort of slides forward, which is what I want it to do. Although maybe those top bits should angle as well. No, I think that's possibly okay. Having it sort of slide into place. Although the blocks behind the character's head are a little bit annoying there. So let's see what we can do with that. If I take those blocks out, what I can do is actually use these instead to at least make it look like it isn't necessarily going to hit the user's head. So that's kind of a plus if we just get in. Yeah, that looks a little bit more believable. Looks a little bit less silly, I think. So if I hit 2 again, that sort of folds back, which is what I want it to do. Honestly, I think I may have those bits go a little bit further. 3 and 4 could possibly go negative 45 as well. So, oh, no. Negative 15 is what I meant. So those can go negative 15 like that. So it does open up a little bit. I think that'll be okay. So that's gonna, yeah, that whole thing is gonna just, you know, shift forward. That's kind of what I want it to do. So now we want to just create something that sort of encloses the user, the driver, the Batman, I guess. So we'll try and get something that kind of does that. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it, though. Also, I'm using stone when I'm supposed to be using metal, so good job me. Oh, this is perfect. It's got so much more clearance off the ground, and it may look silly, but that's actually necessary to get up that ramp there, so that's kind of great. It does sit a little bit too flat for my liking when it's driving. There should be more of an angle there, but thus far, that's actually okay.